Sports Live Critique. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining me, Tom and Matt. How have you both been?
Not too bad, mate. You?
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Especially, I had a holiday, so that helped.
Yeah, that would help morale boost for sure.
10 days in the sun, that always helps, especially when you live in England.
Yeah, you're looking a little bit tan, mate, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, it's wearing off now because I've been back here a week.
You definitely lose it faster than you get it.
Yeah, the windburn's taking it off.
You going for the Muhammad look these days, Peter? Are you, mate? Hey? Peter,
yeah,
Tom
I
Peters.
have,
Peter.
I've lost the well, it's not as harsh anymore.
Yeah.
According to.
Well, my little was 6 in the week, and we had a kids' party with all 30.
So you just thought you'd butcher your head?
Well, I thought I better lose the harsh line.
for fear of scaring the children.
Yeah, I don't want to scare the kids.
Didn't want to dress up as Freddy Krueger, so
yeah, I've got to lay off the harsh line.
Okay,
I've just gone for the skin fade. That's what the kids have, isn't it? Skin fade.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Down with the kids, eh?
Well, I'm trying to be, mate. Trying to be. Yeah.
That's called
it's a really.
Yeah, you could say that. I'm only 36, though. Is that midlife? I don't know.
Yeah, you're just doing it early, that's all.
Yeah. Premature midlife crisis. It's okay.
Get out of the way, I suppose, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's it. And how are you being, Matt? Anything new?
Anything? I had a lot of pizza tonight. We had pizza night. Yeah, quite full. I've been on this health regime for the last few weeks, and tonight we just went straight forward and had a lot of pizza, a lot of fried stuff. Yeah, now I'm on the cup of tea, but I'll probably, after I get off the blower with you boys, I'll probably go for a run again just to make myself feel good.
Ah, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll run to the kitchen and get another bottle of wine. Well, we've had some great submissions this month. Even though it was kind of late in the game, we've got quite a few came through the door quite last minute. So there's some nice images to work with. And actually, speaking of this month's theme, which is Stormlight and storm clouds and everything, which theme are we going with next month? Matty boy, you came up with a good one.
Long exposure.
Yeah, because we haven't really touched on this much before.
No, we haven't, and it's everyone loves playing with long exposures, don't they?
Yeah.
So
traditionally, you'd think about water. You know,
Did you think about water or water?
Water.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you'd just cut the T out of there for a second.
Come on, I'm up north. I don't speak like that.
So yeah, water definitely, because we got lots of movement in water, don't we? So long exposure, silky effects, and all that sort of stuff, and so much things you can do with long exposure. However,
yeah, exactly. I mean, you can use the same theory with clouds, anything like that that's got that movement, or grasses, anything like that.
Say grasses are good, aren't they?
Yeah. So so it's going to be a long exposure next month. So use the same link. Just get into your heads. This is the link we're going to be using from now on. We'll pop that link up everywhere again. It's easy just to copy and paste that now. So just keep using that link and just keep submitting. You've got the whole month to start submitting from the end of this live stream. You can kind of submit from then on.
Yeah, don't wait for us to say the next live event's coming up on the 27th. Just get straight onto there and just what the theme is. Just start putting photos up in the gallery.
Yeah, and we can get a head start. So, right, we'll go with this first image. We'll just bring this up now, and hopefully we've got a nice working screen this month.
Yeah, it looks.
Oh, God, that's fancy, isn't it? Huh?
Oh, look at that, eh? David Skinner, yours is number 1, mate.
There you go, David. How are you, David? Hope you're well, mate.
Full screen.
Oh,
there you go.
Look at that. That's a storm cloud, isn't it? Huh?
It is. It's also black and white, which is my nemesis. But there you go. It's it works really well for this kind of image. I think sort of contrasty in it.
Yeah, it definitely helps bring out the detail, doesn't it, in that sky?
You can get away with taking black and whites too during the day, can't you? You can take a photo during the day. We're normally in colour. The colour tones, saturations, the light coming off those colours might not be pleasant enough, but they might work quite well in black and whites. So it's always a good thing to think of, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, it's got, if you've got harsh light in you.
I'm just reading the comments.
Ryan we're reading too. Yeah.
Good evening, all. Been up since 1 a.m. chasing the pink moon. And then George, evening, gentlemen, is Matt shooting live from his gym in the garage. Hashtag mountain training. Yeah.
Hashtag mountain training. Yeah.
He's on one of them walkers, and got one of them little walkers under the desk.
A little walker. Yeah, got a little walker.
You not seen them little walkers under the desk, mate?
No, he's not quite ready for the old proper walker yet. So he's starting off with the gym walker.
The gym. Then he'll be on to the Johnny Walker in a bit.
So there you go, guys. What are your thoughts on this image?
I'm still distracted by Tom's haircut. Sorry, I can't concentrate on an image.
Is it that bad? I thought it was better this week, this month.
This month,
yeah,
this week, this month.
Covering it up, that's why.
Jeez. It's because you didn't have headphones on monthly. We were blinded last month. God, photography. Sorry, where were we? Just turn your screen off, Tom. We don't need to see you. Really, come on.
Is that bad?
No, it's awesome.
It's Paul's laugh, says it all.
Love it. So yeah, definitely. Mr. Skinner here has done a fine job of the frame in this, because obviously his point of interest was that cloud, wasn't it? The beautiful storm cloud coming through. So
yeah,
the majority of the frame is focused on that cloud itself. The foreground interest is very minimal, isn't it? There's nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing of interest in the foreground, so that would justify the fact that he's sort of shifted his field of view towards the cloud. Also, would you agree on that, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's end of the day, it's all about that cloud, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when you're shooting a Aurora Borealis. You try and just focus on the Aurora Borealis, not the mundane beach underneath, I suppose.
Yeah. I always find with that type of shot, though, it really needs something just to.
So that's the thing, isn't it? When you get all those elements that work together, that's when you get a masterpiece, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So if Mr. Skinner had an old ghost gum tree framing the foreground,
or an old barn,
old
barn or anything like that, something to give it a bit of foreground interest, just to kind of lift it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But good on you, mate, for giving a black and white a go, and definitely makes those details stand out, doesn't it? Huh?
Yeah, it does. It really draws attention to the sky for sure.
Yeah. A little bit of light on the landscape always is a bonus too, isn't it?
Yeah, it does help.
Yeah.
It's funny how the black and white sort of softens the grass. I'm assuming, obviously, what sort of shutter speed he was using, but you got that sort of tone, that sort of aggressive sky and a soft foreground.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's a bit painterly, the bottom third, and then it's just wham.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got obviously wind going through those grasses.
Yeah, which I quite like, actually.
Yeah, I do with grass, to be honest. I like a bit of movement in it, as we're talking about next month using long exposures. That kind of looking grass can be really, really, really appealing.
Yeah. Nice job. Nice job. I like that one, mate.
On you, mate.
To kick off with, man.
Hey, Josh. How you going, buddy?
How's it going, Josh? Just to remind everybody, next month we're going to go with long exposures. So just use the same link as you did this month and start posting straight away. But I'd love to see your images for next month.
Definitely.
So, going to come out of full screen on there. Hope it's going to work. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, God, you think you're pretty fancy tonight, don't you, mate, with all this,
look
screen
at that,
sharing going on.
Ooh, look at that. And this is another one from Alexander Tereshchenko, and it's Kotin Castle in Ukraine, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
God.
Well,
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, hell of a spot, eh?
Places like that in Ukraine. Not that I didn't think that there was beautiful places in Ukraine. I know it's a beautiful country. I didn't think they would have castles like this.
Yeah,
I
didn't.
Didn't come into my mind, to be honest with you.
No.
God, look how gorgeous that is.
It is a nice castle, isn't it? It's not something that really I ever thought about either. Is
such a big country too, isn't it? I mean, there's so much we don't know about these places like Ukraine. I mean, how much beautiful land it would have, and how much culture they have too. Yeah. We just from a Western society, we just see it as another place up the top that doesn't have much influence on our culture. But then when you go and see images like this, they're just beautiful to see. It makes you just very, very curious to understand more about this country, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Surprisingly, like similar sort of rolling countryside to what I got around here. A lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems that way. It's quite. Well, I wouldn't say flat, but it's it's not like
like just hills, just rolling hills type.
Definitely the opposite to Italy. You wouldn't get anything. There's only one place in the far north of Italy, which is at the base of the Dolomites. It's flat. Around the Veneto area. Apart from that, you wouldn't get anything in Italy like that at all. Like just 5 kilometers, and you're either going to get a mountain or an apartment complex. One of the two,
or both,
or both, or both. Yeah.
Do you think it was? It's not a drone, is it? He's just up on a hill, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's up on a hill.
Up on a hill,
yeah. Yeah, it looks lovely, lovely landscape. I think that with regard to post production, it gives me. I'm just going to bring it up on my other screen over here, just so that I'm backing myself up. So I've got my other monitor, my second monitor over here, my color calibrated monitor. Even though the image I've got is compressed, but still I get a bit of a clearer view of what's going on. And it would seem to me, and this is a classic example of what sensors did in the very beginning of digital photography. The very first cameras that came out in digital photography were taking images like this. The white balance was all out of whack, and they're very, very hard images to you had to do a lot of work in post-production, which isn't so much the case now with modern sensors. It does look like, whether it's intentional or unintentional here, that we've got some white balance issues. And I'm saying that because we have some unnatural colors in both the sky and the foregrounds. What are those, Tom?
Well, it's a very sort of more of a green sort of tones and magenta tones in the sky. They don't complement each other.
Yeah. It's very purpley colour, isn't it?
Well, remember when talking about something that complements each other, we're talking about something that's natural. So remember white balance, and that's the thing that a lot of camera sensors don't pick up, and that's why it's so important in post-production that every single individual element in a scene has its own white balance, and we can only capture one of them on a camera sensor. So shadows, for example, are actually cooler. Highlights actually warmer, generally speaking. So we've got a separation between white balances, which is a really good tip in post-production. If you can master white balance in post-production, especially when I'm talking on a non-global scale, you're going to come up with some very, very good images. In this case, it's not a global white balance as such. It's a separation between the two. So we've got this. How would you classify that sky as a tint? Sort of moving like the temperature. We're moving into a purple area, which is quite unnatural. And in the foreground, we're getting this yellow-green. It doesn't sit quite well.
Yeah, you don't get one without the other, do you?
It's something unnatural about it, and it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame at the end of the day. Look, we can fix this up in post-production, no problems at all. We just make a sky selection, and we go and correct that. Could you do that for us, mate? There you go, sky selection. Just see if we can get rid of maybe desaturate it or something, make things easier. Or huck the temperature up a little bit, and maybe just desaturate it a tad, just to try and get rid of those purples.
Yeah, it's quite hard with a JPEG to sort out, to be honest. But
take some fiddling around, but there's something we can definitely. It's easily correctable, but I hope that. How do we pronounce the name of the photographer?
Alexander. There we go. It's a little bit more.
That's better, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more tweaking. It's about getting rid of those purples in the sky.
And then you can probably bring the blacks down a couple of bits, and that'll bring it a little bit back to normal.
Yeah. But
and then again, you probably want to do something similar to the to the foreground, to be honest.
I mean, this definitely is a landscape that has had your light captured from behind. So obviously you got the sunset behind or the sunrise from behind, and you've got those areas that are being clipped by the highlights.
Now it looks by no means natural, but it's better than it was.
Yeah, definitely. I would probably give it some warmth to it, and But apart from the white balance, it's definitely a lovely scene. Josh has written here, it's Kyneton Fortress on the Dniester River, close to the Romanian-Bolivian border. Wow. Moldavian border, sorry. John Martin Braham. Evening all. Hi there, John.
Hi, John. How you doing?
How's it doing, John?
Yeah.
There's a couple other things on this as well. I just want to quickly point out. This little thing down in the bottom left, just down here, I would have probably got rid of that because it's just in the edge of the frame and it's not really serving any purpose other than to distract your eye.
Do you think a bit more foreground in it to open it up a little bit?
Yeah, down the bottom, it's a little bit closed in, isn't it? Down the bottom.
Yeah, you would want to see a little bit more of that valley below to sort of give the whole scene a bit of depth, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of show its place in the landscape a bit better. And again, back to the sky again. There's a couple of dust spots in there which are easily correctable as well. Just like either rain spots or dust spots are up in this sort of area.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's once you've got the color balance problem sorted out, that would be easily correctable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, you make me want to go there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely somewhere that has heaps of potential, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So many. Yeah, but like you said, actually stepping back and giving it a bit more perspective would be nice as well.
Yeah, just a bit more breathing room, I think, because there's a whole lot of sky and not a lot else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well done, Alexander. And
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to remind everybody, next month we're going to go with long exposures. So get those in using the same link as we've given you tonight. That's going to be our permanent link from now on. It just works so much better. The quality of the images we're getting through is just a lot better. We can actually see what we're working with a lot better now.
Definitely.
So much easier to view them, isn't it, as well?
It is, yeah. When we're looking back through them and giving opinions, it's
well, not just that, it's a permanent gallery. You put things on Facebook, it's like they disappear all of a sudden. Once you put them on there, people who don't get to see them straight away lose them in an algorithm. Whereas at least on the gallery, the opportunity for all the other outdoor photography guide members can get on there and look at the photos, and see what's being critiqued, what's going to be critiqued, what type of images are coming on there, what other people are shooting. It's a good way to get ideas for, it's just, everyone benefits from having them put into that gallery.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right. So moving on to the next one, which is Mr. Jeff Daniels. And I've just just come back from this area, so
I know. I thought I recognised it.
Is that where you just? Is that where you've just been? It is. My God.
Yeah.
That was your your YouTube video where you okay? Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
onto it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Same sort of area. And similar sort of time because you've just got the snow just on the peaks way in the back there by the look of it.
Yeah. Pure.
And a very well.
It's interesting. It's interesting to critique this after seeing the images that you took, and then seeing Jeff Daniels, or is it Daniel Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff Daniels. Yeah,
Jeff Daniels. Okay.
Or Jeffrey Daniels. Yeah.
What do you think, Paul? Coming from having it fresh in your mind, what do you think initially compared to
my initial thoughts? It's not so much with the composition; it's more about the post processing. I think everything. If you like that sort of dark and brooding look, everything's really dark. All the foreground is almost as dark as the sky. And looking up here in the top of the frame, you can see there's light up there. So I'm not convinced that you wouldn't have more light on the foreground than it is here.
Okay.
And I think maybe it would probably lift it if there was a little bit more whites, a little bit more pop down in the bottom lower section of the image. It just seems how do I explain it? It just seems quite flat. Almost.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry for Jeff Daniels that I'm saying. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because the first thing I thought when I saw this image was beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Great composition. Great conditions.
Yeah.
Good shutter speed. Good white balance. Leading lines. Ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, my God, that contrast is exactly the same in the immediate foreground as in the background.
Yeah.
And
so
the clouds.
Don't get depth. You don't get any depth. It's just very one-dimensional, really, because there's no depth to the image because of that, I think.
And we've brought it up so many times, haven't we? And we've talked about it before about the difference in the contrast of an element that's directly in front of you as opposed to a mountain in the far distance. And that's with sharpening too. Some people over sharpen and your eyes don't see things that sharp in the background. Your eyes don't see contrast. Now try and understand a little bit more what we mean about contrast, because contrast is such a generic term that everyone uses today, but the definition of contrast, what is the definition of contrast? It's a question.
There you go, Tom. Fire on.
Definition of contrast.
Yes. What is contrast?
Well, you're probably better for answering that because you're better with words, to be fair. I don't really know.
Okay, contrast, taking it outside of photography, what's the definition of the word contrast? So you get a contrast between culture.
Light,
you get it.
Whites and darks.
Yes.
Light and shadow.
It's a difference between the two things, isn't it?
Contrast means difference. So it means extreme differences.
Color.
So if you have a contrast in cultures, or you've got a contrast in food, or whatever it is, contrast basically means there's a big difference between the two. So when you're talking about contrast,
opposite ends of the scale.
Opposite ends of the scale. So obviously, the more contrast you have in something, the more fiery highlights and darker shadows you will have. Where if you've got little contrast, that means you just have basically mid-grays and nothing else. So flatness, no tone. Okay. So we're expecting things that are in front of us so that we can see the detail. We're capable of actually seeing more lights and more shadows in our immediate foreground, as opposed to the background that's further away from us. Our eyes actually see contrast a lot better close up, which is why when we refer to depth in a scene, dimension into a scene, we need dimension too from contrast. So this is, like Paul said earlier on, a flat image because of that consistent contrast from the immediate foreground all the way to those clouds and the mountain in the back.
So if I just make a selection of the actual foreground, for example, and now it's not going to work because number one, it's a JPEG. Number two, those whites are already really close to clipping. But if I bring up the whites, you can already see in that lower selection of the image, there's more contrast between everything. You've got a lot more color going on this spit of land that sticks out. You've got more color on the rocks. So if I reset that back to where it was, you see how dark everything goes.
Just try something simple, like just get your just go to your masks tool, mate.
Yeah.
All right, click on your mask tool.
Yeah.
Hang on. Hang on. Yep, new mask. Go down to radial gradient.
Yeah.
All right. And just open up your exposures a little bit. Okay? On a radial gradient.
Right. So where do you want the radial gradient to go?
Yeah, even just from there, just from the middle there. Yeah. Oh, no, so not radial gradient. What was I saying? A paintbrush. Sorry. No, not radial gradient. Sorry, paintbrush.
So I'll go paintbrush. Yeah. Open up the exposure.
Just open your exposure a little bit and open up your whites. Yeah, that's enough. And your whites, just as an example. Okay. Yeah. Open them right up. Open your whites right up. Now just open up a big brush and just brush them through that immediate foreground, just the immediate foreground. Right down to the bottom there.
Yeah.
All that rock. Oh, look at that. Look at the difference that makes. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, we would do this more precisely and there's extra things we would do, but that just gives you a slight idea.
And I would probably do it in here as well, to be honest.
Probably changing your settings different to what you've used in the,
like a halfway
this
between.
This is one of many things we would do to give dimension back to this image. It just gives you an example of, oh my God,
that's already made a difference.
Look at that. Look, it's got dimension now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Why has that got dimension? Because those shadows, when they're closer to me, I can see through them.
Yeah, exactly. So
if the shadow's far away, I'm never going to be able to see the detail on a shadow from 75 meters away. You just don't see it. So if I look at something and I see it's flat, I see it flat because naturally when I'm out on a landscape and I'm looking at something, my eye naturally sees something. And if I see it in a photo and I go, nah, it's flat, it's because my eye's seen what it's like in real life. I've seen it with dimension. So I want to be able to see that again in a photograph.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, sensors don't capture this. Now, when we're not manipulating images when we're doing this. All we're doing is extracting the information back out of a raw image.
Yeah.
So people need to be clear about that. When they say, you've gone in, oh, I'm a naturalist, I've gone in and, you've manipulated image. No, you haven't. A sensor can only do so much. It's your job to extract that extra 20% out of the sensor to give an image life. Because you won't achieve it just going bang and taking the photo and that's it. It won't happen. Yeah. You need to extract that extra.
And if I reset that now.
It's chalk and cheese. Yeah, isn't it?
How flat that's just gone again because it's just everything's just so dark. And you can tell the contrast was there because you wouldn't have the lighter parts of the cloud. You wouldn't have the lights in the water.
You could even do something simple as putting up a gradient tool from your foreground. All the way through and just opening shadows. That's another example of millions of ways you can do it because there's not one way in Photoshop you can achieve something.
So if you just put a gradient on there
and open up your shadows.
And open up your shadows on that.
It's another way of doing it. There's so many ways of achieving it. Tweaking white balance in those shadows is another example. Having a consistent white balance all the way through isn't natural. So you lose dimension in white balance too,
Yeah. So yeah, so it's a lovely image, mate. Though the composition is great. I love the fact that
Definitely
where you've got the water, it's actually pointing out towards the I call it the volcano mountain out there because it looks very much like a volcano back there. But the way the rocks kind of lined up, it's kind of leading the eye out towards that point, and the water is as well because the detail in the water obviously is white and leading the eye out.
So, exactly. The image is captured well. I mean, that's what you have to. That's what we're saying. They're capturing.
Just the post processing. That's all it is, and it's just giving it more dimension.
Just a bit flat, but
yeah. But it's a lovely area. It's a lovely area to go and photograph. It really is. Well done, Jeff. Well done.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you for that one.
So just want to remind everybody again, next month we're going to do long exposure photography. So again, that could be water, it could be clouds, it could be movement in trees, it could be movement in grass, it could be anything like that. So use it to your advantage and start submitting to the same link as we've used for this month, because that's going to be the permanent link now. I think that's going to be the way forward. It's just so much easier to go through the images and work out what's the best ones to critique.
Even ICM you could add into that, couldn't you?
Yeah, of course, because it's still long exposure. You're gonna have to do, So something for extra. Sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So all of that we can put in there.
Mm-hmm.
So on to the next images, which is Valdearrobas in northern Brazil, and I really liked this image when I saw it.
That's Brazil. Yeah. God, I thought that was Scotland. Sorry.
Nah, different types of pine by the look of it, but I get what you mean.
Yeah. What do you think you are, a friggin' tree surgeon or something, mate?
Yeah, well.
God. It's about it, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's got lots of things going for it that I really like.
Yeah.
That light coming in from the left is really nice.
Yeah, it's just very tastefully done as well.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's subtle, but it's illuminating all of those trees.
Yes, you just who took this one, mate? Again, sorry.
Valdearrobas.
Valdearrobas. Yeah, it's really using the conditions for what they are.
And using contrast really well, which is what we were talking about with the last images.
Yes,
this has got a dimension about it. There's a lot more going on. You've got the light and dark. Obviously, you've got the varying degrees of light and dark. So there's way more contrast in it, and it just.
Well, you've got that light clipping that color, haven't
you?
Yeah.
That gives it something. As I said before, it's a shame we didn't have a bit of light on the landscape. Here we do. Here we clearly do, and this is a clear example of it. If it didn't have the light clipping that landscape, it would just be a few trees with a cloud over the top of it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a shot, would it? No, and like you said, you've got them. Where the light is warmer. Where the shadows are, it's cooler. So yeah, you got the contrast in color, and yeah, it's nice. Compositionally, I like it as well. It's
Well, I think it works really well because there's lots of layers.
You sort of created layers while using the cloud and subjects in the foreground.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's one thing in this photograph that makes it, I would say probably, being as picky as I am, just because I have to say it, but then I'm going to compliment it at the same time. So I think probably compositionally we could improve as far as cropping goes. But having said that, there's one thing that, for me, sort of pushes all that to the side and says, just forget about all that technical stuff, because there's something in this image that just says, wow. And when there's something in an image that says, wow, you just completely forget everything else.
Mm-hmm.
What is it in that image that you can see that just makes you think, oh, my God, that's special?
For me, it's definitely that light.
Yeah, it's the light tree. For me.
It's the light hitting...
Directional light.
Okay.
Hitting that tree on the left there. That's when
there you go. Hitting that tree on the left there. You hit it, Tom.
Yeah.
Hitting that tree on the left. It's almost out of our frame, isn't it? So it makes it very, very subtle, but your eye wants to go there. Because it's the light's kind of directed, it's directing, it's taking you into that direction, and it's not doing it properly when we were talking about, respecting composition and rules of thirds and leading lines. There's nothing really in this image that's respecting any of that, is there? But there's something mysterious about that isolated tree in the background that makes you just wonder more about why it's there on its own.
And the good thing is as well, it doesn't lead you out of the frame. Even though it's close to the edge of the frame, it doesn't really lead you out of it.
Yeah, it takes you towards it. Yeah,
it takes you towards it, but I don't feel as though it really takes you out of it. It kind of, your attention kind of is drawn to that tree rather than drawn away from it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think that tree, you see the tree down on the right, is quite important. The one on its own.
Yeah, it balances it.
Yeah, because my eye initially, like we all agreed, goes to that one on the left, but I do travel horizontally to the right after looking at that tree.
Yeah.
And then I end up down at this one down here on the right here, which it's in shadow.
Yeah.
But because you've got that little bit of light on the edge of the hill there, on top of it, you sort of slowly get pulled to the right, which I quite like.
And that's that contrast working again, I think, though. It's because you've got lights and darks.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So it's kind of balanced in light and dark. So I think that's why it kind of pulls you back to it.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know where this is taking, in which part of Brazil it's been taken. I think there's a bit more of a story behind this image that would be nice to tell. I'd like to know more about it. So if we could somehow highlight this image within maybe the Facebook group and find out a little bit more from the photographer and why he took this image. Was it a chance, or did it mean something else? Especially in an area like Brazil, as we all know, is a heavily forested area, isn't it? And would this type of pine be a top canopy for a forest in Brazil, Paul, that you know of with regards to,
I don't actually know what these are. It's obviously some kind of pine.
It is a pine, yeah.
But I don't know what kind.
It just gives me that sense of that tree isolated at the back there on its own, and it's just everything around it is just a few trees left. I've got this idea that it's referring to more than
you know what you mean. Yeah,
there's this storm coming in. There's this sense of doom. It plays a bit more of an important role than just an image. I think there's a story behind it, and that's what I like about it. As I said before, there's a lot of things that I could critique with regard to composition and alignment and leading lines and lots of things, but I don't think they matter with this image.
Well, and that's the point. I think a lot of the time, I think photographers focus a lot on that rule of thirds. This rule of, if an image works, it works, and that's the long and short of it. Sometimes we can go too in depth with the rule of thirds and all of the things that you're supposed to do. If an image works for whatever reason, like some images work with something slap bang in the middle of the frame, and everybody tells you never to do that. Some images just work. It's it's just the way it is sometimes. If an image works, it works, and I think that's what this really does.
We've got Josh saying there, this screams tropics. Awesome.
Yeah.
Brian Nicholson says stunning with the transition.
Yeah, really nice.
I really, really, really want to know more about this image.
Josh is saying from his post, heavy clouds over high altitude fields in southern Brazil.
Okay.
Right. So it's
high altitude. It might not. These pines might be high altitude pines, and it might not be the case.
Yeah.
With the sort of the lower vegetation that have been deeply.
Yeah, because obviously vegetation changes. It's very much like Scotland. So you have the pines up there, and So well done.
Thanks,
well done.
Thanks for that, Josh. Nice thanks for your feedback, Josh. Thanks for getting on the group.
Josh.
Thank you, buddy.
And just want to remind everybody, next month we're going to do long exposures. So get those images in using the same link as you used this month. and start submitting now. You don't need to wait.
Yes.
So on to the next one, which is an image by George Kormanicki. How are you doing, mate? I know you're with us tonight and will be with us in the next 3 weeks. So
I know, mate.
This was George saying it was his first attempt at a pano, and it's a 6-image stacked panorama.
6.
And it's, as you can see, it's pretty tight crop, so it's like, you know.
It definitely works, though, doesn't it? Because it's consistent throughout the whole entire frame, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice, mate. Good one. Like I said earlier on,
there you go.
It would be nice to have some light on the landscape, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just to lift it a bit.
Just to lift it, yeah. Skies. Yeah.
It's nice like being on. Sorry, Tom.
So I was just to say, the clouds sort of mimic the tree line quite nicely.
I do, yeah, that's correct.
You know, you're seeing the tree, the middle trees, although they're sort of in front of the color, the full color behind, they are breaking this. You know what I mean? They're not in behind in front of a sort of a grey cloud, so you can define the edges of them.
I would. Now, some people might say, "Oh, Matt, you're taking this too far, right?" But at least I've convinced myself that this is the case. So when we take an image, we know that the sensor can only. It's not that it can capture so much. It captures pretty much everything these days, apart from extreme lights, like darks and highlights that have gone to the extreme. But apart from that, they can pretty much capture everything else. But there's one thing that sensors really struggle to capture, and that is different forms of atmosphere that are subtle forms of atmosphere. So when I mean atmosphere, I might refer to haze or very slight fog in between trees. Subtle things that the naked eye can see. We take that image and we bring it home, and it's like, I don't know whether it's the sensor itself or it's the optics of a lens that will cut through that information. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
So if I look at this image and I look up at the skyline there, you can almost see this glow wanting to happen.
Yeah.
You see that on top there?
Yeah.
Now, if I was just to add that, but be very subtle, okay? Because if you were there on the day and that did happen, and then in post-production you just added it, but you're so subtle that only you knew that you did it.
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Of course it's okay. It's your image. You do it the hell you want with it. But what I'm saying is you're trying to bring everything back to the way it was in that moment. So if Paul was to kindly bring up a radial gradient this time, not like I said, but in a mask.
Hang on. Let's get rid of what I just did. There we go.
There you go.
Over here is where
you sort of want to center it above, so in the white area, in your actual area above the front of the actual photograph itself. So the center, you want to be outside of the frame. Go outside your frame a bit more. Drag it right. There you go. Now make it big. Now make it large. Drag it from the right, from the side, from the rights. From the right. Open it right up. Keep it open. Keep it open. Keep it open. Go. Keep going the whole way, mate. All right. Beautiful. All right. Now make your your feather is 100%. Now just open your exposure ever so, just ever so slightly. There you go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop there. And just add a little bit of warmth to it, very slightly. Your temperature. Very slightly. That's, probably too much. Bit less, about 10. That's enough. Just to be very, very subtle.
There you go.
You haven't done anything extreme, but you've just brought back a little bit of that sense of atmosphere to probably what was going on. but you've been extremely, extremely subtle. You haven't added any light into it that's gone over the top. And
I think the other thing I would probably do, which is what I was kind of looking at before as well, is just to add a bit of whites to the actual landscape, just to help it pop just that little bit.
Just a little bit.
There you go. You see, difference that made.
Yeah.
And you've still got it. It's still darker over to the left, but you've got more light on where that glow would be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So about bringing back that sort of that story, the morning, isn't it? And you're adding, you said, adding that sort of depth by, like Matt always says, with contrast, but it's so many other ways, isn't it? Light and color.
Yeah. There's countless ways to bring that.
And like this way, with the way the direction of the light would be from behind them trees.
Yeah.
Just. And I'll tell you what as well. When you make, I tend to edit more so in Photoshop, so I'm always turning the layers on and off and zooming in and out, and looking at it more of a thumbnail as well. Because when you make these tiny adjustments on a big screen, and then it really helps, doesn't it, to sort of make the image small, toggle them on and off, because subtle adjustments can be quite overpowering if you don't. When you look at them big, they don't look as in your face as when you look at them small.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah,
nice one, George.
Not a bad effort.
On your mind.
Not at all. Right, just want to remind everybody again. Next month we're going to do long exposures, so use your imagination for that one. You could use water, clouds, anything like that. Even ICM, we'll accept that as well, because obviously you're going to have to do that. George is just saying here, actually, this was clipped in the right upside with the sun reflecting off the clouds. Having to keep the same exposure for the pano made it difficult.
Yeah. That is a good point, actually, isn't it? That is one of the main difficulties, isn't it, with taking panos? Is obviously you're trying to capture a moment in 6 shots, and keeping exposure even from left to right is very, very difficult.
It's definitely not easy at all.
That's for sure.
And to make it look natural. So good job, mate.
On you, buddy.
Right, Josh, we've got yours coming up next, mate. Approaching snowstorm. There we go.
God, you can tell Josh has been on workshops with us, can't you? He's just become he's been such a good photographer. He's gotten so much better since he's listened to me.
Does he listen to you, does he?
He pretends. He pretends he doesn't. He pretends he doesn't, but I think
usually when he comes with us, he takes off as far away from us as possible.
Yeah.
You only see him at night time. He keeps telling us he only comes for the food.
He comes from Matt's cooking.
No, that's really nice. Now, I'm assuming this is somewhere in the Mons. Am I correct there? If he's still with us, in Ireland somewhere, but it's really nice. I love that light coming down on the right.
Yeah, it's a lovely story, isn't it?
And again, layers of those hills going back really work well with the light coming through each sort of valley there. Josh is saying, quick handheld when mountain training in a Sint.
Not you went mountain training in your garage, were you, mate?
It's Sint. So it's Scotland. Yeah, lovely.
What I like about this is that there's nothing prominent in the scene that attracts your attention. It's the scene itself that is prominent itself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's an abstract landscape. So you took that light away, it would be completely nothing. That light's just exposed things so well from the right-hand side all the way to you've got these diagonals just working perfectly from the right-hand side.
Yeah.
All the way across to the left. You've just got these mountain with the light just going straight through. Beautiful shot, mate. Well done. I'm happy that you've learnt these skills off me over the years, and it's a big satisfaction to know that you listened to me in the past.
Do you know what, Josh?
I feel like I've done my job, even though you shoot with the Sony.
Do you know what, Josh? This kind of shot I really like, but what I tend to do if I've taken a shot like this, now this might not be.
I know the shit out of it. Oh, sorry, I just said shit.
No, no, it's more a case of getting rid of this bit up here.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this I'm saying this is me personally.
Yeah.
I would tend to get rid of that because it annoys me.
Oh, you buggered it. Go, do it. Go on. Nah, screwed it.
Not for me. Maybe for you, but for me, I like that.
You've suffocated it. I feel like my head, I've gone down now.
Yeah, that's only because you saw the original image.
Yeah, it makes it more.
You don't like panoramas though, so you're never going to like it. So
that's not a pana; it's a 16:9.
Well, exactly. But anything I do to an image, you hate. Hey, what are you doing with that? You squashed it. But no, I have a real problem with blue skies, and I always try and get rid of them if I can in an image. It's just personal taste.
I can see why some people might find that distracting slightly, or I can see why people might crop it out.
See, I think it perfectly balances out with the foreground.
It is nice.
No. You know why I'm saying? Okay, this is what I say. Oh, you've screwed it, because it's good. We're doing a debate now. It's gone from a critique to a debate, so it's good. You've got this foreground, right?
Yeah.
Look at that foreground, just the immediate foreground. It's almost like nothing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Tom?
Yeah, true.
Okay, look at that top section that Paul just cut out. It's like, nothing, right? You take away one of those two, you bugger it up. Those two open areas gave the middle a frame.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You with me?
Yeah, it's true. I can see it both sides. Yeah, I can see it.
So if you're going to take away one of them, you're going to take away the both of them.
Yeah.
You keep them both, it's given it a frame. And it's made it that abstract image. This isn't a landscape. It's not a classic landscape. What Josh has been attracted to here, obviously the light. He's just turned around and just see what I mean?
Ooh,
see what I mean?
Eh?
Yeah, see what I mean? So you've taken both away. Look, that's nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You do what you did before? Not so much. You've got to either give both of them or take them away, because those open areas are the frame to the image.
Yeah. I get what you mean. I do get what you mean.
Yeah.
I think that works really well, though.
They both work well. Yeah, they both work well. Because of that light, you've still got those rolling hills still going through there, and that is the main. That's where our eyes are leading. You've just, by keeping it open, by not cropping it, your eye's gonna go there anyway.
Yeah, of course it is.
That's what it is. And those open areas at the bottom of the top, they aren't distractions. It's it's almost like a vignette. It's a natural vignette to bring you in,
Yeah.
Not a dark vignette, a light vignette, Vignette doesn't mean dark around a frame, by the way.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. It's
proud of you, Josh. On you, mate.
Yeah, it's a lovely image, Josh. Well done, mate. Fair play for getting up there as well.
Quick handheld one, he said as well, which is there you go, you see.
All these shots are taken really quick, mate. Have you seen him taking his time? I never have.
Oh, you'd hate going out with me.
Thanks, Josh, mate. Just want to remind you all, next month, again, we're going to do long exposure photography. So, use your imagination with it. It doesn't have to just be water. It could be based around anything, even ICM as well. get those images in using the same link as you used for these uploads, because we're going to use that from now on. It just works so much better. Mr. Brian Nicholson.
G'day, Brian.
Oh, with this image here. There we go.
Wow. I just love these sort of these captures, don't you? Like
yeah,
you
fleeting light.
Capturing a moment that's never going to be. Well, I know it's never exactly going to be replicated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. It makes it more special, doesn't it? It does from my thought. Anyway.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Definitely. I love these sort of shots where there's just beams of light coming down. And,
and
landscape.
Yeah, and they kind of are what they are because you're capturing a moment. You know, it's tend to be quite quick, doesn't it?
Well, it's one of those things that you're not. I mean, it does happen, but you're not always set up on a tripod to take it. It's very much one of those. You go in somewhere and it happens. Pretty much the same as it did with us in Abruzzo that last time, Matt, when we were heading back up to Roccacalascio, and then the light kicked off with all those clouds on the hills across, and there was rain. We were getting pelted by rain.
Oh,
yeah, just at the car park there. And that was one of those moments where there was just
fleeting light. Fleeting light. Yeah. They're the most special, and they're sometimes the most hardest to try and translate, aren't they? Because that was an emotion that it's hard to bring out, isn't it?
Now again with this one, I feel.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, hi, Paul. How you doing, mate?
Not you, Tom. Well, you said hold here 56 and 47.
No, how
56
Paul Cunningham, how are you doing, mate?
Paul Cunningham.
Similar problems as we had before is a bit of a white balance color cast issue going on, and it's very yellow. Or what I'm seeing is very yellow and maybe a bit green, especially towards the sky area.
Oh, geez, I've got it up on the color calibrated monitor. Actually, I've got to recalibrate this, but still, it's pretty close. Yeah, we're a bit off with a few bits of even that light, that dappled light, just behind that main section there. We've got a bit of this purple, which would look like it would be a heather or something.
It is heather. It is heather. It's purple heather.
It is heather.
That time of year. Yeah.
But if you look above that, that purpleness continues through the ray itself. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's like a blue band above the light.
Yeah. So I'm looking through a color calibrated monitor. I can see it a lot clearer than I can on my other screen. I can see that magenta tinge to it, sort of. Yeah, it's going through the actual haze itself, and it's traveling up into that light beam. So something inconsistent, definitely, about that. Again, it's like that image before. We've got a few issues with white balance, don't we?
Yeah. I'm just
it's been captured well.
Just keep talking. I'm just going to. I'm just bringing Photoshop up a minute. With this image, I'll drag it across into my screen once it loads. I just wanted to show them something that I showed George the other day. So if you open up the image in Photoshop and you go to you don't, obviously this isn't going to work for every image. It may not work for this, but if you go to image and auto color, it removes color cast, and it does it pretty well a majority of the time. And with a raw image, it does it brilliantly well. And look what that's done already.
Turn that on off again.
So if I undo auto color, see the color cast there.
Yeah.
If I go back to image, auto color, it's sorted that out a lot better.
Who taught you how to do that, mate? Where'd you learn that trick from?
You see, eh?
Oh,
I see.
oh yes.
So that you see the difference that's just made just doing that. Now it doesn't work all the time, and sometimes if you undo auto color and you go image auto tone, see the auto tone's not doing as good a job. So auto color though, it's sorted it out big time, and you're getting a lot more of those darks.
I've never actually used the menu bar at the top of Photoshop before, so it's actually quite interesting to see someone touch on those words.
Yeah. Well, it was something I actually learned through. There's a plugin called Pro Panel by John Weatherby. It's this one here, Pro Panel.
Okay.
And it puts all of these tools in one little place here.
Right. Okay.
So you'll see down here is auto color, auto tone.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I actually found out where it was, and then I kind of went into the menus to find out actually where it was in Photoshop. But it does a really good job.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, I would.
Brian says it was 5,400 Kelvin. So basically, Brian, you're saying 5,400 Kelvin as a global adjustment. Am I correct? Yeah. If so, that is the reason why we're having that issue, because you've made a global adjustment, and sometimes it just doesn't work, mate.
So there's your original one. I've just saved that to Lightroom now. So there's your original image.
You're very resourceful, aren't you, mate?
Very.
Okay.
And that's with the color sorted out.
Oh yeah.
Difference is night and day, and that's just with a JPEG. So it would probably be a whole lot better with the RAW file.
Yeah, and we could even make a sky selection and warm up that sky selection just a tad.
Yeah,
so probably a little bit cold, just a tad, and it would make it pump even more. And there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not a day different.
Classic examples before, Brian. We were talking about the image earlier on. You know, the image was captured very, very well. Nothing you can say about the image, how it's captured. It's more got to do with those very, very fine, acute adjustments. Sometimes we don't get to see in Photoshop because we're not looking at them, because we're not seeing them. You know, and then someone tells you, like, God, how didn't I not see that? You know.
So, well done there, Brian. I'm just going to crack on with this last one because we're kind of running out of time, and I want to kind of get it in. But for next month, please get your submissions in using the same link as we did this month, and it's going to be long exposure landscapes next month. So lastly is Tristan Jacobs with this image here.
Nice. I'm glad we'll get. Sorry that we have to hurry this one because we're at the end, but
it's a really nice image. This.
Yeah, lovely landscape. I like the details in the barn and the tractor. They're so pristine, aren't they? So sharp, very well exposed. It obviously is the sort of accompanying subject to the whole landscape, isn't it? And it's not invasive, is it? It's quite peaceful to have that tractor sort of going through there. It sort of fits it well. I really like it.
It does a lot of jobs, that tractor. I think number one, it kind of gives a bit of interest to the foreground, and number two, it shows a real sense of scale about the landscape around it as well.
Sense of scale, Be a good title for a YouTube video, that one.
Oh yeah, funny that,
one thing we always bang on about as well. I was trying to create like a story to help layer an image as well, and it shows you that the land's being worked. It shows you there's people living there. It shows you, life. And again, that's adding another dimension, isn't it? That's adding to the story.
Good point, Tom.
What I mean,
it's showing a bit of harmony, isn't it? Harmony between man and nature.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing when it happens.
Showing it place in the landscape is a real big deal, I think.
It does. It shows a peaceful harmony, doesn't it, between man and a landscape?
Yeah,
and
it kind of reminds me of the kind of clouds that you get coming up over Gran Sasso. You know, that when we're in, like Emperor's Field and you're getting all that cloud coming up over the top, it's got very much a similar sort of look without the trees, obviously, but it's got a very similar sort of look with that cloud coming up over the ridgeline.
I kind of like it, like the grass image we had earlier with the big sky.
Yeah,
it's kind of got that same sort of feeling, isn't it? For me, it's and you've got that sort of flattened off, mirrory, sort of blurred mirror reflections.
On the water.
Yeah, the trees very soft, and then in the background you got harsh, sort of grungy. Yeah, again, it's like a two-tone sort of feel, but it works. Because like where you got that contrast in that tone, the background is emphasized more. It's more grungy because you've got like a softer foreground.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah,
it's a nice contrast between the two. I think that's
in drama, like
yeah,
which makes it, it's a nice image. Yeah.
Great shot.
I really like
that.
Tristan.
Great shot.
So good. Very nice.
Well done, Tristan. Nice image to finish on.
Definitely.
So, I hope you all enjoyed that, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. As I say, next month we're going to do long exposure landscape.
Long exposure.
Long exposure landscapes, and that could be water, clouds, grasses, any of that kind of thing. So get those submissions in using the same link. We will post that link around so that you can follow that and submit, but just take it from this one. It's the same link we're going to use every time.
Yes.
Yeah, get them in early.
Get him in now. Get him in now. We can start looking at him now.
Exactly, and then we'll start. We'll
the more we look at them, the harsher we are because we get to study them more and more and more.
When we get an actual date, we'll let you know when that's going to be. Okay, thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you on next month's live stream. Thank you. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone. Bye.